The following episode might contain sensitive content that you might not be comfortable listening to. This will include topics such as self-harm, suicide, alcoholism. If any of these things or anything related might disturb you, please proceed with caution or click off the video now. What's your one bad habit? That one thing that it seems as if you can't stop doing, even though that you know it's not necessarily the best for you to continue. Hello, my name is Hazy, Who Killed Hazy, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Only Rainy Days podcast. I feel the need to keep saying this every single time, yet I know that this is basically becoming the norm for me, which I do need to stop. That's something that I might get to during this, this little talk of mine, but I have nothing prepared, or I have a small amount of things prepared. And it is the 18th of August, which means that if you're hearing this upon release, I can't do math. I'm recording this within 20 hours of release, basically. Really, I need to do better with preparation and just have a schedule, or I have a schedule when things are supposed to be released, yet I just don't abide by necessarily giving myself breathing room, basically, because I know I'm going to record this and then probably sleep on it, wake up, and then panic trying to get it actually finished, packed up nicely in a little box by the time it's supposed to be shipped out. So cheers to tomorrow me, or I guess when I wake up me, because I left some shit on the plate that you're gonna have to deal with, and I'm gonna remember these words and chew on it. But I guess that's just what it is. Stepping away from my obvious issues regarding, I guess, staying on top of what I want to stay on top of, or at the very least staying true to what I tell myself I'm gonna stay true to. I guess this episode will follow suit with the last one, so episode 19, which was called Brain Spill, which was right before I recorded that episode. I made a list on a sticky note of some topics that I want to talk about at some given point, not necessarily in length, that I just knew that, I always have something in the tank for, basically. And in the last episode, 2 weeks ago, I only got through 2 points. I do have more things on here, so I'm just gonna basically run with it. I guess it's not stealing, but I didn't come up with anything new, anything good to fully focus on, which is a shame, because I have a journal that has a bunch of ideas and future topics and things that I want to talk about in length by itself, independently. But for now, we're going to just jump around and just talk about essentially any and everything that comes to mind, whatever it might be. A game of mental ping pong, if you will. But, well, honestly, it's not the top of the list. This is actually one of the last points I've written down. But I think this is the one that I really want to focus on, because this is something that is, as shameful as it is to say, I think I have a level of transparency that I want to hold true, honestly, purely to myself. This one topic that I want to talk about is core to my identity, not only my self-identity, but what I would like to believe is my public identity, which sadly happens to be alcohol, or alcoholism, to be blunt about it, very blunt about it. And I do find shame in it, but at the same time, I don't see the need in trying to dance around it. Dancing around it isn't really going to get me anywhere, get me further, anything like that. At the current moment, I 100% see myself as an alcoholic. And I think this is a common theme with just a lot of substances and substance abuse in general, But whenever you think of an alcoholic, a druggie, anything like that, people usually have like a certain type of visual in mind. It's the person that just seems to not be able to get anything done. You know, if you live in like inner city, urban areas, you might have a better idea of what I mean. But it's that dude, that person that just walks around town, just gets blackout drunk all the time, seems to not be able to manage or handle any sort of time commitments whatsoever. I imagine we all have a certain idea of an alcoholic. For other people, there might be a more domestically grim idealization, or at least mental picture of an alcoholic. But nonetheless, I would like to think I'm an alcoholic. In the last, it's 2023 right now, so it's in the last year and a half, going on 2 years this Christmas, essentially, because I know it started around Christmas time. I have been drinking almost every single day. Just about every single day. I've had moments and little, bursts where I wasn't drinking, but most of the time that I've been sober in these last, let's just say 2 years to keep it simple, was usually just due to I didn't have anything on hand, as opposed to me not wanting to drink. I drink every single night I have an option to. And on top of it, I drink too much. If I was to drink, I drink harder liquor. So whiskey and rum is usually my type of things. So if you know alcoholic content, it's usually somewhere between 35 to at times 45% is usually my type of thing. I don't know the proof numbers, so I can't tell you, but you can just look it up. I honestly, I wish I came prepared. I wish I had that number on hand. But 35 to 45% is usually when I'm drinking. And I drink enough on a nightly basis to have issues getting to bed, I guess is the best way to put it. Some nights it's just, slight memory loss, which I think is a relatively harsh way to describe it at times. But, if you drink, I'm drinking for 4 or 5 hours throughout the night. Sometimes I can't recall what I said in the first hour or 2 hours. Hell, maybe even 3 hours. At my worst, I can't remember anything. My motor skills are sufficiently depleted. I'm slurring all my words, can't walk. I can barely keep my head looking straight. And it's been a constant cycle of somewhere along that spectrum of being drunk for the last 2 years or so. And I would argue that's being an alcoholic. I just have to be blunt. And I have to be blunt with myself first and foremost, because if I keep trying to dance around it and say that, oh, I'm just having fun, or oh, I'm never really drinking when I'm alone, or yada yada yada, 101 excuses to try to excuse my actions, then I won't get my lesson. I won't understand anything. I understand how to bail myself out as if I'm some sort of, oh, look at me, I'm rich daddy's kid, I can never get in trouble. No, that's not the case. I don't want that to be the case. I have to be completely blunt. I am an individual who abuses alcohol. I am an alcoholic. I drink every single night, more than I should. And even throughout my worst days and worst nights while doing it, I don't change my ways. Like, it's actually funny, or I say funny because I guess I'm trying to dance from the truth of the situation. Right now, it is August 18th. If I go back So it's a Friday. If I go back 9 days, so August 9th, I threw up 3 times because I got way too drunk the night prior. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, because I'm nocturnal basically, so that's my thing. Spent the whole night and I guess early morning just drinking, having fun with friends, doing, whatever type of activities I usually get myself into. And I'm a homebody, which is why I brought up the idea of a mental image of an alcoholic. I don't leave my house often. I work from home. All my passions can be chased from home. Most of my friends are not in my town. I spend majority of my days at home. I sit in the same chair for about 14 hours a day. But I'm just sitting here at my computer, either working or having fun with friends, just talking to friends on Discord, whatever game I might be playing. But I'm just sitting here 4, 5, 6 hours a night. That night, I was just drinking, and I drank myself into not necessarily a coma. It was not one of the nights where I literally passed out in my chair so hard to the point where I fell out of my chair in my sleep and I didn't notice, which has happened before, which is why I mentioned it. But I got super fucking wasted. At some point, I managed to hoist myself up into bed. Woke up Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon, because I usually wake up in the afternoons, and spent that entire day, or the first 7 hours of that day, just fighting not to puke. And it didn't work. I puked several times throughout 2 different periods throughout the day. And I remember telling myself, like, last Wednesday, so 9 days ago, oh man, dude, you really need to relax. You need to chill out, you need to stop drinking, because clearly, one, we already been aware of this, between the money that I'm spending every single month, every single week to even get the alcohol, to just not feeling the best when I wake up. I gotta stop drinking so much. And then here I am, I'm kneeling down in front of a toilet in my house, just my body's trying to purge because I did way too much. And I remember last time I was puking, I had that in throughout the rest of the night. That's the terrible part, to make it even worse. After that last time, I kept telling myself, I need to slow down on my drinking. I'm drinking way too much. It's clear, it's evident. We can still have the same amount of fun. The fun is in the people. At the very least, if you don't want to just stop drinking in general, let's just cut back a little bit. I don't have to drink until the moment I feel like, laying in my bed. I can drink up until like an hour till or something like that. Like, let's just dial it back, cut down on the consumption. And I really believe that. I believe that enough to the point where I didn't drink that Wednesday, which, slight tangent, is a victory in itself, because I remember puking on my birthday last year and I still ended up drinking that night. Maybe because it's my birthday, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I don't celebrate my birthday. But I didn't drink that night. I didn't drink last Wednesday. Told myself I shouldn't, and therefore I won't. I'll just enjoy my time with my friends or solo, regardless, and I'll be sober while doing it. And I did exactly that, so it wasn't too much of an issue. Hint, hint, surprise, which is also another reason as to why I wanted to talk about this so much. I have not been sober since. At least I don't have recollection of being sober, but as far as I'm pretty much concerned, I have drank every single night since that night. From last Thursday, which would be the 10th. Yeah, I think the 10th. From the 10th until now, the 18th. Been drunk every single night. Hell, I've been drinking tonight, but I've always been drinking. That's never been on one hand, it's par for course, but on the other hand, it's depressing. It's depressing and it's sad that being drunk, being tipsy, or, starting to chase one of those levels is something that is to almost be expected of me. Friends and people who I've just started to meet at any given point in the last year and a half, 2 years, it went from, oh, Hazy, you're drinking, to, wait, Hazy, you're not drinking. All of a sudden, it's become a norm for people to just expect me to be drunk once it passed midnight in my time zone, which is what I usually say. Once it usually passes midnight, and that's about the time I start to drink. Maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later. Depends on the day when I got going on. But usually, once people realize it's midnight, or at least when the sun is down, people expect me to just be drinking or starting to drink. And let me back up a little bit. People are expecting it. It's not as if they don't care. It's not as if anyone in my life has not been caring, hasn't been noticing, has not been worrying about my physical and mental well-being, because they see it. They see it in live time, and I'm not one to try to hide it from them. I'll tell them every single time, oh yeah, I got a glass right in front of me, or oh, I'm about to start drinking right now. What are you drinking? I don't know. It can be a mixture of things. Captain Morgan, Sailor Jerry's, Jack Daniels. Lately it's been Woodford Reserve. Those have been like my main four, but Jack Daniels will always be my love, or at least for the moment. I want to quit. I definitely want to quit. It's a weird thing, and it's weird because I talk about it so much, to the point where it definitely does hurt, because I know what I say is hypocritical. I believe in it. I believe in it wholeheartedly, yet I don't follow my own words, my own action. I don't follow my own words, my own call to action. But I always call alcohol the devil. I always have. And I always will. I think I talked about it maybe in one of the first 5 episodes or something like that. But maybe somewhere else. I don't know. I know I've talked about it before, but I've always demonized alcohol. That's always been my thing since I was way younger. I've seen it. I've seen exactly what it does to people, the way it, turns people inside out. And there's always the nice saying, which are, what is it? Drunk statements are sober thoughts, which is relatively true. In fact, I'd argue 95% of things someone who's inebriated, 95% of the statements someone who's inebriated will say is some sort of reflection of what they honestly think, if they haven't said it already. I believe that, but I don't know. At the same time, I've just seen the worst in people, because it's one thing to just say terrible things, because especially in my instance, but I think everyone has it, or a lot of people has it at some point. People do just think of the worst things, especially when they're hurt. When someone hurts you, when you get hurt, the first thing in your mind is to hurt them back. And it takes a little bit of mental tweaking to realize that that's not usually the way. In certain cases, some people will get slightly hurt or they don't understand what was said to them, and they'll say something even worse. That's usually what the case is with alcohol, especially if it was someone who is an aggressive drunk. Basically, you could just say something as if, oh, that shirt looks a little tight on you, which could be true. Could be a smaller size, or for once, I'm actually struggling on examples, but you could just say something as simple as, "Oh, you should have got that bag in red instead of black. I think it compliments you." And then they might just randomly snap back in their drunken state of quote unquote rage and just say that you just look fat as hell. And everyone just thinks, where the hell did that statement come from? Nobody knows. And that's why I don't want to say every single drunken statement is a sober thought, because it's just like any given person, I would like to imagine, especially with aggressive drunken people who get very aggressive when they're drunk, that's not even necessarily what they believe. They're not used to it, or maybe they are, but I would like to imagine they're not used to it. They just tear people down. They're just people to tear people down, or they tear people down in general, or they tear people down to build themselves up. And their natural intuition tells them that that's not the way to live. But when they get drunk, they lose that sort of social filter. And then they just say whatever goes on. There's a lot of drunk people who do that shit. Get their egos hurt and just start destroying bridges and just tearing down buildings and just doing whatever they can to just hurt someone or hurt anyone, regardless of if they quote unquote deserve it or not. It's a lot of demons that live in people. And I've seen it before. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, my own 4 eyes, if you want to make the glasses joke, because I wear glasses. I'm not ashamed of it. But I've seen that shit. I've seen that shit from a young age in a lot of people. So I remember growing up and just being surefire about the fact that I never wanted to drink. I never wanted to drink because I didn't understand it. One, I've tried it, tried it throughout ages. None of it ever really tasted good, to be honest. And two, I saw what it brought out. I saw what it brought out of people. And I just never understood it. And I was young and dumb. I was naive, young and naive when these thoughts first, came to mind, like 7, 8, 9, unless you went through, the absolute worst in life immediately, in which if you have, please talk to someone. I'm here for you, and please take care of yourself. But I didn't go through the absolute worst when I was super, super young, or just young in general. So I had this naive perception of life where, life always gets better and everything is all good. And if it isn't all good, why would you willingly take something that can make you like this person? And I still believe part of it. I still believe life can be good, at the very least can be better. Hell, if you don't have that hope, I couldn't imagine a living life without the hope that things could ever get better. But I didn't understand why people were drinking in the first place. I never understood how desolate life could get to force people to take a mind-altering substance in general. I didn't get it. And again, for what I'd imagine and hope for most people at the age of 7, 8, 9, why would you know? Why would you know what dark corners of life exist to the point where people will willingly consume a substance that might make them a worse person? I didn't have a clue, so I always just demonized the shit. Fast forward to high school. By the time I got to high school, that's when everything hit me. And it's not to say that all the bad things only started to happen in high school. That's when it all hit me. That's when my mind gained the mental faculties, required to process, previous events and things that were said, connotations of things that were said, in addition to everything that was going on, because it was a downhill slope. Sixth, seventh, eighth grade. Yeah, sixth, seventh, eighth grade was not a clean slate of life for me. I just, had that childlike innocence burning as bright as the sun. My freshman year, that's when it all got fucking desolate. That's when it got decimated. That's when it all disappeared. And I started to just kind of see my reality for what it was. And at the time, it wasn't too bright. It wasn't too bright. It was disgusting. It was dark and it was nasty. I started to understand what was going on around me. I started to fully understand the sheer scope of my anxiety and the fact that I didn't feel like I had friends, which just turned into, I didn't really have friends during high school. All that shit had to be internalized or just screamed out into the void to people who either didn't understand or didn't care to reach out or whatever. They probably had their own things going on. So I can't even hold people for whoever heard me shout out loud looking for help. I can't hold them for not helping. Lord knows what they had going on at the time. So I don't ever have bad spirit towards the people I went to high school with, or at least that first year of high school. But that first year of high school, freshman year, ninth year, if there's any non-Americans, I guess is a great way to put it. Ninth year is when I really kind of took a toll off the deep end. That's when I got curious because of, my mentally tumultuous. I think that's the word. My mental despair kind of led me into a form of morbid curiosity. That's a better way to put it. I got super curious because that's when I really did start to lose hope. That's when I really started to just not understand shit. And I was getting angry with things I couldn't understand in the moment, and actions that happened previously and actions that were happening day to day to day. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand why it's going on. Can it please just end? When will it end? All the thoughts kind of dogpiled me. I'm playing flag football, but everyone's playing it wrong. And I think that's a really good way to put it, because I spent my entire life up until that point playing flag football. They just grab the little flag and that's it. You're out, but you're not hurt by it, or at least you don't understand that you're hurt. It's just fuck, I gotta go back 10 yards. I got out. That's just what it is. Ninth grade is when I really got tackled. That's when I really started to feel it. And I was just like, fuck, this shit hurts. This shit hurts a lot. And I'm not used to it. So, in my morbid curiosity, I decided to try the one thing I saw everyone doing around me. I wanted to figure out why people drink. It was clear to me from a young age that people who were drunk wasn't in their right mind. So my brain put two and two together. What if I took myself out of my right mind? What if I decided to do something, take something where I wouldn't necessarily be myself? Because anything than being myself would be preferable right now. So I started drinking. I remember coming downstairs, I remember it. Came home from school, put my bag and stuff upstairs in my room, kind of sat there for a bit, just simmering in my thoughts. And I came downstairs, grabbed a little cup, or just grabbed a cup. I don't know why I said little, but grabbed the cup, filled it half with really flat root beer, because we would buy it in 2 liters, and you just can't screw that back together properly. And then grab my parents' vodka and poured the rest of the cup in vodka, half and half. And I didn't understand anything about alcohol, so I just took a sip of it, shuddered, said, "Oh God, that doesn't taste good." and then just bottoms up, took the rest of the glass to the face and just put it down, sat there, and in my stupidity, I didn't understand what was going on. I just assumed there was an immediate like feel, like immediate consequence, I guess. So I just stood there for a moment and just was like, well, I don't really feel anything. And I just went back up to my room and decided to I just had all the memories. I used to have like a net chair. I think they're called like a little net chair, basically. And I had one of those in my room. I just went back up there, sat in that chair in front of my TV, and I just started looking up YouTube videos. That's all I used to watch. YouTube, and then like Red versus Blue on Netflix. That was like my shit. That was my shit. Holy. It's been a moment since I thought of that. But yeah, I just sat in my chair and started just watch whatever it was. Russian Badger on YouTube, Minecraft videos, like what? Maybe Swagger Souls was, popular or something. I know Notorious was, Fits, all of them. CS videos, whatever I could find, whatever I could just watch that would just make me laugh, because that was all that's my shit. I just liked the comedy. I didn't really I didn't really look for information. So I'm just trying to enjoy myself. And I'm sitting in that chair and like maybe 20, 30 minutes passed. So like one good video, one good episode, maybe two. And I remember, because I was controlling YouTube with a PlayStation 4 controller. I used my PS4 for everything. I was trying to reach the controller and I realized I missed it. And immediately I realized, my arms feel sluggish. My brain's not really thinking. In fact, wait, did I even watch that YouTube video? I don't remember too much of it, actually. I don't think I was really thinking of anything. So I get the controller and I'm realizing as I'm trying to do it, everything feels sluggish. Everything feels kind of off. It's like someone's fucking with my clock. I'm in slow-mo right now. Watch like another one or two YouTube videos and I realized, all right, let me use the bathroom real fast. I stood up, and if you've ever drank before, especially if you drank at a party, I feel like you might have this. I think this has been a universal experience with everyone I've talked to. I remember standing up, walking to the bathroom, and it doesn't go too well, but I'm not too mindful of it. But when I get to the bathroom, the first thing I did was I put my hands on the bathroom counter and I kind of just looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. And the moment I caught a glimpse of like my own eyes, that's when everything started to go super downhill. And again, I don't know how much I poured. Just take your standard glass cup, maybe reduce the size of it a little bit. And then half of it was like 35-40% vodka. And at the time, freshman year, I was 13 years old. So that was more than enough for a 13-year-old, let alone probably some people older than that. So when I looked at myself in the mirror, that's how I knew that it was, oh no, I felt it. Whenever I felt immediately after drinking was incorrect. No, it just took time. I do what I do, and I spent the rest of the day just kind of essentially enjoying it. I actually did enjoy it. As a kid, that was just spending 24/7 basically in his head, not really talking to anyone, just kind of going through class, getting done with it, dealing with a lot of things that he didn't want to deal with. Things I will address later in this podcast, but for now, I think I'll just kind of speak about it very vaguely. It was nice to be in a state of mind where I couldn't really think, especially because I remember it, and this is where it gets. I think this is the one time I'm really gonna speak on it. So maybe just mute the podcast for like 20 seconds, 20, 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But it was also a little bit after I started self-harming myself as well. There was a lot of cutting involved throughout nights. So not being in my complete state of mind to the point where I couldn't even remember necessarily what was troubling me at the time. It was a wonderful feeling. Even when it basically wore off, even just kind of just chilling with the feeling of it still being slightly in my body until I fell asleep. It was good. It was a good feeling. And I recognize now, several years after that incident or that occurrence, the first time I ever drank, I realized that that was the catalyst. That is when I completely understood where I went wrong in my thinking as a child. And it also planted the seeds that it was essentially going to be a way in which I coped about my feelings, or at least a way I wanted to cope about it. And it became such a powerful coping ground for me because, and I think about this a lot, especially now, I don't know if I necessarily lacked the facilities or was simply unwilling to use any of them. Perhaps a mixture of both. But I felt as if I had nothing to really talk to, at least in a way that would be beneficial to me. I could tell a friend what was going on, but it didn't make me really feel better at the time because we're all 13, 14, maybe even 15. It's not like they necessarily knew the best ways to help me. And the best way to help, there's no way to get really help about those type of things if you don't help yourself. And I had no clue what I was doing. So I was just a kid, just drowning in his thoughts and at most just trying to hide it. I don't tell them, don't show them anything. If no one's home tonight, or at least when I get home I see no one, let me go steal some more vodka. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and it just kept reinforcing the fact that I felt as if I was wrong when I was younger. And looking back on now, I don't think I was actually too wrong. When I first started drinking, I understood what it was, why people drank in the first place, and I still do. People drink to escape. It is a coping mechanism. Yeah, I had that childlike innocence and childlike image of life where life was basically gonna just be good. And, even if life isn't that good, then why drink anyway? Just go back to normal. Until I realized that some people, and especially when I reached it myself, some people just don't have good periods of life. Now, does that make drinking just a viable option? No, that's not the point. That's not the point of the statement whatsoever. The proper thing to do is to start trying to understand what's going on, what's making you feel this way, why do you feel this way, is there anything you can do about it, and on top of it, talk to someone, whether it be a friend you can trust, family member you can trust, or a trained and licensed professional. That way you can start working through and decompacting all your stress and potential trauma. That way you know how to heal and move forward. That's it. That is what you're supposed to do with things that are troubling you. Drinking is running from your problems. You don't want to think, so you do something that literally makes it where you can't think. And that's only sometimes, and that's the super fucked up part about it. Sometimes when you get drunk, all you can think about is the things that are haunting you and daunting you, and the reasons why you can't sleep at night, and the reasons why you do terrible things at times to yourself or other people. sometimes you get consumed by your thoughts. And the fucked up part about it is, even if you get consumed in your thoughts, the number one thing that comes to mind is, let me drink more or let me drink again and see if it doesn't happen. And that's always been the weird part. Regardless of a good or bad situation with drinking, the alcoholic chooses to drink again, as if I'm essentially gambling against the gods to figure out if I'm going to turn out okay at best, or if I'm going to turn out fucked up. And if I turn out fucked up, my night goes bad, which means my morning goes bad, which means that my night is going to be spent drinking again, trying to escape the hole I put myself into. The further you run away from it, the bigger and worse it gets. It's like a snowball. Snowball avalanche. You know, you kind of just have to deal with it as soon as you can, because if you don't deal with it, it's just gonna get big and spiral out of control. And the funny thing is, alcoholism will become yet another part of that snowball. I almost said the word beautiful part. It's not beautiful. It's not beautiful, because if you do it too much and without check, then now you gotta fight the idea that your happiness is alcohol. Maybe I think I attacked that a little too fast. So let me back up on that. Because I've already established that drinking is a coping mechanism. But there's another part of drinking, which is what people usually see as social drinking. Sometimes it's happy drinking, celebratory drinks, anything like that, which is fine in moderation. Everything in life is essentially fine in moderation. Most things. Don't go do something stupid, all right? Don't get into hard drugs. Don't do vandalism. None of that. That's super stupid, all right? But, you know, at least especially in things in terms that are socially acceptable, you know, if you want to smoke a little bit as a celebration, that's usually all right. If you want to drink a little bit as a celebration, that's all right. And there's some people who usually just drink as a way to enhance their fun, which is also something I got used to, which is mostly because I always had a good time when I drank. I created a psychological bond or connection between being happy and being drunk, because being drunk was my escape from the turmoils, the trials and tribulations I felt as if I was dealing with either in the moment or was remembering. So, you know, if you spend a year, 2 years or whatever, only truly, really feeling as if you're smiling because you're drunk, then you definitely create this idea, this false warped perception in your head that you need to be drunk to really enjoy yourself or just enjoy life as it is and what it offers, everything like that. And I created that bond. Luckily, I don't think I've seen people who are not in a state of depression really create that type of bond, but I can imagine it's definitely possible. But, you know, I created a artificial bar of dopamine and serotonin because I was just always drinking. So when I wasn't drinking just to be out of my head and to try to escape, you know, what I didn't want to deal with, I was just drinking because I just thought it was fun. And it is, I will not lie. But now this is where the big problem, you know, really lies in front of me. I don't feel happy anymore without really drinking. When I'm sad, I just want to drink. My bar for happiness and being able to enjoy myself to the point where I also don't feel like I can conversate with others because of my history with anxiety. It feels like it all goes away when I drink. My anxiety's gone. My happiness rises. In the same vein, the same shot, the same shit. if things start to go astray, if I don't feel too good that day, I just want to drink and just forget about it, as if I'm still 13, 14-year-old me stealing liquor from my parents, just trying not to remember. And it kind of, I'm faced with a very peculiar situation. And I guess I only use peculiar because I'm still youngish, or a lot of, people will still say I'm young, and that's just kind of what it is. But I'm in this peculiar situation where this really is something that doesn't change without my input. Now, this is one of those things in life where no one can really fix it up for me, or, I'm forced into something necessarily and it'll just, magically fix me. This isn't school, basically. This isn't school and coursework where you kind of just, you just end up taking honors geometry, and then all of a sudden you're going to come out of it basically knowing geometry. If you don't, guess what? You're going to take the course again. Alcoholism is something that I have to really, this is a demon I have to fight, not by myself, but I need to be the only one throwing blows. No one can just necessarily stop it from happening, basically. And I suppose in some senses, some people can do that for others, but the alcoholic might just find a roundabout way around it. Like, as with all mental issues, essentially, you kind of have to really want it yourself. You need to want to see the change for yourself for it to truly happen. In this circumstance, that means if I want to stop being an alcoholic, I need to want to stop drinking so much. And that's where the issues start to lie. I want to stop drinking. I see what it's doing. I see what it's doing to me, my physical, even my mental health, memory, mood swings, patience, all of that. Physically just throwing up, and with when I'm drinking, liver and kidneys gotta be crying out for help at some point if it's not already. On top of that, what it's doing for the people around me. I'm sure my friends don't like to just see me just be blackout, sometimes be blackout drunk and say terrible things, or at least just fall asleep at the computer and to just hear about, oh yeah, nope, at this point, Hazy's just a guy who just can't stay sober. Same sense of like my family. I'm sure they don't like to hear what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I'm sure, my mom still has images of me passed out on my table. The one or maybe two times I passed out so hard that I fell from my table and just fell on the floor, and she had to wake me up from the floor to get me to go to bed. I'm sure the images are, it's damaging more than me. Not to exclude how much money I spend on alcohol a year. I spend a lot of money. If you want to take an idea or take a guess, the biggest bottle of Jack Daniels they sell, I believe it's a 1.5 liter bottle. Take that bottle. I drink it. I can drink that bottle every single day. It will take me 4 to 5 days, 5 days at max, to finish that bottle. So if you want to take 5 as an average, multiply that by what? Multiply the cost of a 1.5 liter of Jack Daniels by 73. That's how much, at minimum, I basically spend per year on alcohol. Off the top of my head, I spend like, if you're talking about times 73, that bottle is like $40, which means I spend $2,800 plus. I spend $2,920 a year on alcohol, about $3,000. On bad days, if I drink faster, just, I decide to drink something else, I'm drinking somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000 of alcohol a year. And that figure alone, outside of everything else, is asinine. It's an asinine figure to say that you're spending $3,000 to $4,000 on vices, let alone one that is doing an insane amount of damage to me. Because, all people have their vices. Some people's vices is just traveling. So if you spend $3,000 to $4,000 a year just traveling, one, where are you traveling at? I'd like to know what you're doing. And two, some people don't spend that because they don't have the money to. But otherwise, those who do travel a lot would probably say that's like, oh, that's not too bad. But if you look any person in their eyes and say you spend $3,000 to $4,000 on alcohol, and that you're not some type of collector, or you don't even care to get the super good shit. I'm not drinking Woodford every single night. Woodford, Hennessy. No, I'm drinking Jack. It's something regular. I can find it at my local Jewel Osco, and I just drink that, and I'm spending 3, 4. Hell, if it gets super bad and I'm drinking other shit as well on top of it, I could probably spend $5,000 in a year just purely on alcohol, because I'm drinking every single night and I drink that heavily. It's not healthy. It's not healthy financially, physically, mentally, socially. It's terrible, actually. It's fucking terrible. So I gotta change my ways, basically. I gotta change my ways, but as much as I know that socially plays a part into it, I gotta change my ways for myself, because, and this might be a weird stance of mine, so take it with a grain of salt. This is a stance of mine, but no real change happens because of somebody else. Now, you can make a suggestion to someone and they take it to heart and change, but if someone's just changing for a specific individual instead of themselves wholeheartedly, that change isn't real. It's gonna fall apart. I've seen it before. I've done it before, honestly. It's not real change. Change comes within. In the same way that you might have to change the approach on how you feel about something that has happened to you or something that's about to happen to you. With any change at all, you have to want it just for yourself. And not only do you have to want it for yourself, you will have to hold yourself accountable. Especially in my case, because I am not that good of a listener. Because I have people, wonderful and beautiful people, who I'm very thankful for in my life. And I'd love to have a chance. I guess I have a chance. But I would love to honestly, wholeheartedly apologize for my conduct in the time we've known each other. If it's been within the last 2 years, not because of things I've said not because of the things I've said while drunk, but just drinking in general. A lot, if not essentially all of my friends and everyone I talk to has told me, hey Hazel, you should really slow down on drinking. You should, let's just cut it back a little bit. You shouldn't drink tonight. And I push back. I'm like, no, but you got blackout last night. You told me about how you felt as if you were gonna puke. Can we stay sober for the next 2-3 days at the very least? And I'll just tell them nah, and I'll be fine, and I do my fuck shit. And I'm essentially prying my friend's eyes open to just watch my own demise. It's social suicide. It's social suicide the way I'm drinking at this point. And I don't even mean for it to be that way necessarily. I'm just trying to make sense of life or have fun while doing it, or just have fun. But this isn't the way. This isn't the way. And the further that I really kind of go down this path, it's not going to do me any justice. It's not going to do me any justice. The more I drink, the harder it will be for me to stop drinking. Simply put, the more I drink, the harder it will be for me to stop drinking. So at some point, I gotta just kind of break the cycle, whether it be slowing down than giving up or just giving up entirely. I need to start taking breaks, even if it's just drinking every other night or just not getting blackout every night. That's progress. As long as there's progress, it's like that's the most important part. But if I'm just gonna keep here, continuing on my ways, just drinking until I feel as if I can't drink no more, wondering if I'll even wake up from my obligations the next day, can't do anything like that. But yeah, no, that's it, really. Actually, I think I got a lot off my soul right there. I think I definitely fit the criteria of an alcoholic. Yeah, at least at the moment. I plan on changing it. I will change it, not only for myself, but for the people around me. I do. Again, if I don't owe it to myself, I owe it to them. But I do owe it to myself. Because this ain't it. This ain't it. I don't even feel that much better. For the awareness of what's going on makes me not even feel that good for what's going on, That sounds terrible. But I'm just aware of what I'm doing. I'm aware that it's not good for me, and yet I keep doing it. So I just know that I'm being stupid. I'm being a dumbass. I'm being an ass, basically. I'm making an ass of myself. And I keep hiding behind all these weird little pity excuses, such as, oh, I'm just trying to enjoy myself. Oh, I just want to celebrate. Oh, today was a terrible day. If I could just enjoy the highs as the highs that they are, and then fight my lows when they show up regularly instead of trying to run away from them, then I'd do it. Then I'd be good. I just need a shift in mental. Basically. That's really what I need to do. So I gotta start taking the time to make that a reality. No more blank and void verbal promises, not to myself, not to anyone. So I'm gonna actually care about taking care of myself, doing better, so I can be here as long as I want to be, as I should be, instead of just drinking myself into a coma. Then I need to start taking action now, especially when I'm in the mix of it, not just quote unquote waiting for a quote unquote better moment. What do people say? Grab the bull by its horns. I think that's a good way to put it. I gotta grab this bull, this demon, by its fucking horns. Because otherwise, I'm just gonna keep getting tossed around, just having to deal with whatever bullshit comes from it. And there's a lot of bullshit that comes with being a drinker. And I still don't even have it as bad as some people. I got it bad, but, there's always worse. There's always worse out there for whatever it might be. So I gotta just take that moment, breathe, remember what I'm trying to do for myself, for my well-being, for my longevity, mental, physical health, social health, for my friends, everything. Take it all. Not bottle it up, but put it all into one source of energy. Swallow that pill whole. Take it to the face and just keep reminding myself that if I really want to be who I want to be, not to myself only, but to other people, if I want to be there to even just see it, then I got to change my ways, because this ain't it. This is not a way to live life by any means, to the point where I'd argue that drinking this heavily, if not even more, you're not even living life. You're here, but you aren't here. That's really I know what I have to do. I know what I gotta do. I just gotta take that. I just gotta take that pill and swallow it. I just gotta take it to the face.